Alright. Sorry. Oh my god, that spit went flying. Jesus Christ. That's awful. Yeah, I'm looking for the control room, bro. Oh, hold up, I gotta go back. Going back. Going back. Here we going back again. Here we going back again. Yeah, I'm just gonna get a shareable link right now. Shareable link. So I'm just, posting in some places. Sorry, I'm just putting it in the respective, letting people know. Alright, that seems good enough. Okay, go to the control room. Let's save, I guess. Alright. Now we're started. Hold on, I just want to... Okay, so you can't hear what I'm hearing. Good. I have podcast in my ears just for the sake of podcast. It's podcastception. Alright, so, I don't know. So yesterday I was talking with my coworker. I don't know. I think I can say his first name, just not his last. His name's Corey. And I was talking about how I had a Quran, and I made a missionary joke, like, do you have a moment to talk about the Prophet Muhammad? And he's like, bro, you have a Quran? My mom would kill me if I had that. I'm like, what? Why? He's like, oh, because she's hardcore Christian. I'm like, ugh, worst kind. But anyway, that segued into, like, tarot cards. And he said, and I'm like, dude, like, if you're so Christian and you won't allow tarot cards in your house, might as well not have any playing cards ever. Because, like, playing cards are adapted from tarot cards. Thank you, Rebecca, for letting me read that book where I learned that. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like, oh, you divine the future with it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, Christians did that to a degree too. We just call it a message from God. Okay. About humor, like, I don't know. I know some people are very sensitive to the jokes about certain religions, except for Christianity. Oh, we love to rip on Christianity. But I don't know. I think the joke about a Muslim missionary is pretty funny. I don't know. Really, it's kind of making fun of a Christian missionary. I'm just retexturing the model. And about the Quran, right? I don't need to get a little philosophical here, but I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I intend to at some point. I even intend to get a copy of the Torah. Technically, these cover a lot of the same subjects. And there's this part in, like, the V for Vendetta movie where it's like, do I have to be Muslim to enjoy the Quran? No. And very much no, you don't. You don't have to. Now, I just have a bunch of topics I've written down. I'm going to jump back and forth as segues happen. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5. I'm not going to get into spoilers. That's one thing I don't think I should spoil. But I've talked to some people who don't like JoJo's, and you're okay to not like JoJo's. Some people die for Naruto. I couldn't give less of a shit about it. But let's just, you like animes you like. But some people's problem with JoJo's in general is that it's a very punchy shonen anime. Now, what I would say in rebuttal is, Part 5 is so much more than that. Like, personally, some of my favorites are the earlier parts, like Part 4 and Part 2. And, oh my god, what I love Part 1's theme, Sonochi no Saname. But Part 5 has a lot more tragedy. And a lot more deep things, more than just a character. Like, I remember watching this one YouTube video where it's like, all the JoJos up until Giorno very much just react to the situation around him. Or what's happening to him. You know, Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro, and Josuke. You know, most of them aren't going out and doing something like Giorno is. Speaking of JoJo, sorry. I remember seeing this one meme. Sorry, I don't have the Rona. Ugh, I don't know what that was. Coffee ground with some coffee. Ugh. But anyway, I remember seeing this one JoJo's meme where it was these 3 gaunt figures in a kind of, it looked like a public memorial. I'm like, huh, those figures are pretty gaunt for them to be making a joke about the Pillarmen. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, why are they gaunt? What's going on here? And there's like a title before it. It's like, Juju's Bizarre Adventure. And it didn't quite click for the longest time. Then I read the comments, and it said, Juju's Bizarre Adventure. And it hits like a fucking train. Like, I just took, I'm a first timer, like, I'm like, oh, it's a Holocaust joke. But I think there's 1-star comment in that comment section. And it was the fact that they were implying that World War II was a JoJo's reference. Tragedy will always be exclusively joked about. That's something that probably hasn't changed and will never change. Bruh. Speaking of dark jokes, you ever heard of a comedian called Ricky Gervais? I remember watching the, I don't know, he's pretty big. I remember watching the Night at the Museum movie when I was a kid. I'm like, huh, what a snarky museum curator. Yeah, he was pretty snarky. I didn't realize he was a comedian at that time. So when I, started looking at his comedy, I'm like, bruh. And I know some people get offended by him. Some people find stuff funny, some people don't. Obviously, he jokes about tragedy, so if someone goes there and has experienced a tragedy, they're not likely to laugh at it. But the idea that comedy can be, pain and comedy are pretty close, kind of like, because the thing is, a comedian's job is to make a joke, is to make something funny, whether it's something very mundane or dark or tragic. Like, I'm certain after the bombings in Hiroshima, like half a century ago, basically, that people were definitely, actually it's a little more than half, it's marginal, I'm not going to count the exact years, but, I'm assuming Americans afterwards, like, we bombed a bunch of Japanese people, nice. But personally, I'm a advocate for true equality. So I'm as an American, I say for every Hiroshima joke, we need to catch up on the amount of Hiroshima jokes with some 9/11 jokes. It's fair, We joke about a tragedy in the East. Why can't people make a joke about our tragedies? It's fair. Checks out. You crunch the number. Works. But some people, are offended with the mediums in which Ricky Gervais tends to do his jokes. Like, I remember he's, poking fun at gender stereotypes, but with the use of, I think her name's Caitlyn. The trans one. I'm not very versed on the genders. I think her name is Caitlyn now? Or it's always been, technically. I don't remember. the one that used to be the one that was an Olympian. I hope that works. But she, he was making a joke about her driving, and the real kind of target of the joke was that he was making fun of her like hitting a person with her car. Yeah, and a bunch of people got pissed because it involved a trans person. Anyways, in that case, the point is, comedy is very subjective. Ricky Gervais, I think jokes, in a sense, there's just some that are just widely unfunny. Like, obviously, I think the one where he compares himself turning into a chimp is pretty funny. Although, I don't know, my friends kind of think it's a little mean-spirited. I seem to have a different idea of what mean-spirited means. Like, obviously, when you're in middle school and high school, sometimes if you're an edgy teenager like I was, you tell those jokes, and then you grow up and like, wow, that was pretty cringe. I hope I don't ever do that again. But, I remember telling this one joke about snow tire chains, and the kid I was telling it to was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's wrong with you? And now I look back and I'm like, yeah, that was fucking stupid. Why did I do that? But that's stuff I consider, just bigoted, racist jokes. It's just not funny. It's like, haha, look at this. It's funny because slavery, I guess. No, if you want to make a joke about stuff like that, I don't know. I like the stuff by the colonization joke bit from Trevor Noah. That's great. Where he's talking about these racist people in England with like, that's why I'm voting for Brexit, because he'll take England back. But he's making a joke. It's like, well, when Britain colonized India, he's like, what are you talking about? That was so great. Now we're here. What's so great about it? I know it's a butchering of an Indian accent. I know some people might say that's racist. It's not supposed to. I'm not supposed to be imitating them. I'm just, for the sake of the joke, because he does a better one, I'm doing that. Technically, you could make the assumption that he could be racist for making a joke about an Indian one, but again, that's just semantics. I don't care about that. But I'm just trying to tell you about the joke. But in any case, I think that joke where he's like, well, now we're here. What's so great about Great Britain? I think it's awesome. I don't think you should have so much pride in something like country and, political views and all those sort of things that you can't at least enjoy a good joke. I love jokes ripping on America. Like, I remember seeing this one meme. It's like, stay a rhino apart. Like I say, it's like, Americans will use anything but the metric system. Awesome. Made my fucking friend laugh too. Love it. Alright. Okay, hold on. So I wrote down just one thing. So bad it's good. Oh boy. So if I'm supposed to explain what that little plot, little, note means, I have a very big love for things that are just so fucking bad. Like, I've never seen The Room, but I'm absolutely certain I'll enjoy it. Because it is a beautiful, hot mess. Especially from just the scene you always see. It's like, I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. And just that. But, like, I love, like, Goosebumps and fucking Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because it's, again, one of those so bad they're good things. Like, the last episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark in Season 5 is about a vampire that takes over a hospital. And he's defeated by throwing his coffin into a furnace. Sorry for that. And then he just starts bursting into flames. And they throw a dummy off a burning building. And the dummy is so flat looking. I think it's hilarious to watch that thing fall. Oh, it's just so bad. Or like Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers. Funny enough, last night I was also talking about how I marathoned the entire first Power Rangers from like season 1 of Mighty Morphin to season 3. All in one summer. It's about 60 episodes a season. And I was loving it. Like, the whole Megazord, like, It's morphin' time. Oh, so good. Or the fact that you would slash them with a sword, and they no blood, no cut fabric, because the suit's powerful. Just sparks and a lot of pain. I would have loved if they also did bruising effects, but you know, I guess not. A bit too big budget. Hold on, we can the podcast and listen to this again. Let's go that. But or things like Spaceballs. Oh my god, there's this one scene in Spaceballs where it's basically like the joke is basically the equivalent of braking hard while going fast, and Rick Moranis' character goes fucking flying, and the effects used for it are they make me laugh. It's just so bad how they do that. I have a big love for special effects, which always kind of translates, of course, to adult videos. I think they're hilarious. Everything's bad about it. It's cheesy. It's cliche. And I think it's hilarious. Like, sometimes I find myself just laughing at it. And apparently, there's a straight comedy section. I'm like, how do you get better than what you already have? I don't know. How do you get better? It's already just comedy gold. Oh. Oh, good. Oh, good. I have a couple left, but this next one's gonna be a little longer. So, there's a bit of comedy in this story. For the most part, it's a little dark. It happened to me. So, in the Christmas of 2018, the Sunday actually is when it started. I went to the hospital about 8 in the morning, and at 6 in the morning, I woke up. I hate hotels, sleeping in hotels, not because of the germs, because it's so uncomfortable. Like, I sleep on the floor before I sleep in a hotel bed. But in any case, I don't sleep well. I'm also an insomniac, just, in my own personal home. But, so I woke up at 3 in the morning, and this was when I was reading Dracula, so that was fun. So at 3 in the morning, I'm reading it until like 4. And then as my family starts to wake up, I make green tea, and I prepare to go work out in the hotel's small gym. And I drink the tea, and because of how it dries my throat, I start gagging. And also because I probably haven't eaten anything. I didn't eat anything at that point. And I end up throwing into the hotel toilet. Oh, gross. But, then I start having a pain, like, right here, which is an area called your diaphragm. It's a breathing muscle. And, I'm like, whoa, this actually hurts. What the fuck? And I couldn't sit down, like, straight up like this. And I couldn't lay down. I had to stay perpetually in an angle similar to this. It's good lower back exercise. I recommend it. But, that happened, and then, once the nearest walk-in clinic could be open at 8 o'clock, we went there. But by the time we got to leave for that, I had stars in my eyes, like spots, and it covered up quite a lot by the time we got into the car. And by the time we got to the walk-in clinic, I was functionally blind basically because of how little I could see. And my dad told me, I was very unresponsive, I was ashen, and which just means very pale, deathly pale sometimes. And then they, took me to then they took me to the hospital. Now, for instance, this is Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Shout out to Oconomowoc. But so the hospital, say this is the main street. Right here is the hotel. Down the street is the walk-in clinic. Back up the street, across from the hotel, is the hospital. How good is that? I was actually fucking in danger. Well, I kind of was. But only by luck. So what happened was I was bleeding internally. And once they took me to the hospital, obviously it takes a whole new context when you learn I'm internally bleeding. By what I described by the spots in my eyes. But by the time we rolled up to the hospital, they were rolling me up in a wheelchair. It's like someone it's like a fogged up mirror and someone just wiped out a clear spot. I felt fine except for the pain in my abdomen. But, that's kind of what happened. And they take me to the hospital. They're like, what the hell is going on? Why are you bleeding? They do an ultrasound, and they commit me to the ICU, intensive care unit. And for about a day, maybe a day and a half, they are taking my blood every 4 hours to see if I'm still internally bleeding. And they find I don't, so they move me to a normal room. And I'm just sitting there. It fucking sucks. I can't shower, which is really bugging me. And I have to wear the sock around my fucking foot. It sucked. It was tight, too. I didn't like that. And it hurt to shit. The normal things. But what they did find out is there's a pocket of blood that is pushing my stomach against my diaphragm. That's what's causing the pain. What they don't know is how that happened, or what caused it. So after my hospital stay, I get to go home. I have a couple limits. I can't lift anything for over 20 pounds for a couple days, or for a couple weeks actually. And for 6 months, I cannot, or not 6 weeks, geez, that's been awful. For 6 weeks, I cannot, work out, which really bugged me too. That sucked. If you can't tell, I'm kind of a gym rat. But, yeah. So at some point, they're doing CT scans on me, and then MRIs to find out, what's going on. That's fun. So, at some point, I have a procedure. It's called a scope. Now, a scope uses some of the same technology as a colonoscopy. And by what I mean, that means is they stick a long, snaky camera up, for me, down my throat. And I say, I always have wit with the medical profession. I don't know why. Like one time when they were trying to do my CT scan, they have to have me drink oral contrast. It is just a chemical that allows them to see clear stuff in my body clearly. But, I remember they were sticking me with a needle, which I really don't like. Imagine that happening every 4 hours. But, I'm like, bro, you're stabbing me. She's, the nurse, the phlebotomist, like, I'm not stabbing you. I'm like, yeah, you are. It's like, a needle's meant to stab. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a dagger. The dagger is thin and hollow. What the hell? In any case, one time they gave me mocha-flavored contrast stuff. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good coffee like this. But, and this was actually the subject of an assignment I did for speech class. And, the procedure. So, the moment they told me about this procedure, I was working on something funny to say. So I kind of had it already. And so, they have to commit me, they have to, put me under with anesthesia. And so they're doing all the normal procedural stuff. You state your name, this and that. Once they got all that out of the way, they say, all right, do you have anything else, any questions? I'm like, yeah, yes, sir. This is my first time being deep-throated, so please be gentle. And then I conk out from the anesthesia. I never get to hear what the doctor said. I don't ever get a response to that line. I think it's hilarious. Yeah. And essentially, what they did was they had little biopsy tools, which means they just cut stuff off. They punched a hole through my stomach. After the whole thing, I got pictures of what the camera saw. Now, if you've never wondered what, your esophagus looks like in your stomach, get a scope and you'll find out. But, they punch a hole through my stomach and find that on the outside of my stomach, there are cysts. And one of them burst, and that was what caused the bleeding. And, I forgot the reason I stopped and the clarity happened was because my organs, the visceral space didn't allow for any more bleeding. you have different little line sacs where each organ is, and that's kind of what happened. Yeah, so that was not fun. Alright. Last thing. Unpopular opinion. I kind of don't like The Shining. The book. I don't know. Never seen the movie. I know some people who are like, what? The Shining? How dare you? It's his best book. Like, I don't know. It's his most known book. I'll give you that. As for best, I don't know. I know he has very big personal ties to the book. Mr. King, that is. And that, it's an allegory for, his fears when he was an alcoholic. But, like, I don't know. It's just not that enjoyable. Like, something like, the end of Apt Pupil. There's a line in there I just fucking love. Or my favorite, Needful Things. Also, that's a fucking great-ass book. Take the religious context out of it, I still love it. But, I like it. Alright, this ends this episode of the Karisen Conversation. And I ask that you have a nice day.